happened to Dadaglobe? Why was it never published?
It's a great question. So when Dadaglobe was envisioned, it was meant to be published in 1921. And eventually along the way, there were multiple reasons that it was ultimately never realized. One of them was financial, which is sad, but a practicality of the time. Tzara was working on it with Pacabia, the editor Tristan Tzara, with his artist friend Francis Pacabia, who was a co-editor. Pacabia was an older artist, and he was funding the project. And so they had a falling out and the funding disappeared. So that was one reason. Another reason was potentially more political. So the fact that these artists were publishing works in different languages, in French and German, alongside each other on the pages of a publication in a very politically charged moment following World War I, it might have been something that the publisher was scared to do that the censors might react. So there were multiple reasons. We don't know exactly. There's not a moment in the correspondence or in the archives where it says, this is why Dadaglobe was never published, but contextually we have these kinds of potential reasons.
And how is Dadaglobe reconstructed? What was the reconstruction process like?
That's a great question. So I came onto the project a little bit later in the game. My colleague Adrian Sudhalter has been working for 6 diligent years reconstructing this project. So luckily, we have clues. It's almost like a treasure hunt. And Tzara left a list in which he listed all of the works of art that were to appear on the pages of Dadaglobe and gave them numbers. And then on the backs of those works of art that were sent to him, he annotated the page number on which he thought that work might appear. So over those 6 years, in Adrian's research, she went through that list and checked the numbers and then went around the world looking at the backs of works of art and checking for those notations that would be the confirmation that that work would have appeared in Dadaglobe.
Okay, so for those who don't know, who's Tristan Tzara and Francis Pacabia?
So the two kind of main players behind Dadaglobe are Tzara and Pacabia. Tristan Tzara was one of the founders of the Dada movement in Zurich in 1916. He was actually Romanian originally. His name is Samuel Rosenstock. And he had been living in Zurich, and then he comes to Paris in 1920 with the idea of creating this Dada anthology. And this is where he is visiting with Francis Pacabia, who's a kind of an older generation of a Dada artist. He's kind of a mentor to a lot of Tzara's generation. Tzara was in his 20s at the time. He was very young. And so Pacabia is a little bit more of an established artist who has a kind of an artistic practice established, and people know a little bit more who he is. He has a little bit more financial security, so he's able to back the Dadaglobe project.
How many artists participated in Dadaglobe?
So when Tzara and Pacabia sent their solicitation letters, they invited about 50 artists to participate. And, not all of those solicitation letters were responded to by the same artists who received them. So, they sent out those letters and maybe one artist said, well, I don't want to participate, I'm not going to be involved. And another artist said, oh, well, I have 3 friends who would like to be a part of it. So it kind of, it trickled around and it was passed around different communities. And in the end, there were about 50 participants.